On this episode of Grassroots Garage, we have a really early start as we head up to the Gold Coast from Sydney. Plan is to film 2 cars and drive back all in the space of 30 hours. Although a massive task, how could we say no to a previous guest of GRG? Especially when he wants to show us his other car, a 4-rotor FD Mazda Rx7 he's owned for the last 19 years. GRG first met Benny down at Rotor Revival about 5 years ago, when Pete jumped into his little 13BPP powered 86.
My name's Benny Wilkinson from the Gold Coast. I've got a Mazda Rx7 Series 6 with a 26B. I've owned this car for about 19 years now. It was my first drift car, and yeah, this is its current form. Yeah, the modification list is massive with this thing. I've built more cars than I can count, but this one is by far the most modified. Mainly because the engine isn't just something that you just buy off the shelf from Mazda. Like, everything has to be made for it. You know, like you're trying to buy an engine mount or, you know, cross member or headers. You don't just buy them off the shelf. You have to make them. So it's obviously a full peripheral port. Probably the most unique thing about mine is that I'm running dual throttles to one rotor for no reason other than just it looks cool. So the biggest thing with this car was looks first, and sound second, and practicality third. So that's exactly how I built this car. Start by saying I was originally going to go 20B turbo, and then 480 crank come up for sale, and had the money at the time, so I was like, oh, okay. So that was pretty much the first part that I bought to kick off the rebuild again. So yeah, bought that, and then ended up buying another near complete engine that wasn't assembled. It had a X40 crank, which is like the turbo crank. It had billet housings, billet plates, and had Lighten Series 5 rotors already. So basically I just mixed and matched the parts that I already had with that and picked what I thought was the best parts out of all of it. So yeah, so now I have a brand new, like, genuine Mazda irons and housings, and then they were modified by Extreme, so they're all CNC ported. Yeah, as I said, Series 5 high comp rotors. They have been lightened a little bit. Power wise, it just made 566 on a hub at 9,400. Yeah, I mean, it sounds great. And getting to that was actually quite the challenge. I've made 4 different exhausts for this car. It's obviously a 4-rotor, so it goes 4 and they all merge into 1. That's probably the most crucial part to getting the sound right. And what I newly discovered is that they all have to be like equally length to get that 4-rotor sound. If you've got one not quite the same length, it just won't make the sound. So Adam LZ, the YouTuber, he filled his headers up with water and measured the volume, which I never thought of in the past. So as soon as I did that, I realised that one of my headers was a fair bit shorter than the others. So as soon as I lengthened that, the sound was fixed, and then just picked up like 60 horsepower instantly. And then we threw a bit more timing and RPM in it, and gained like another 100 horsepower on what it had. So, and then it goes into 4-inch single with my own muffler I made, because mufflers just do not last on rotaries. People know this. So yeah, make my own mufflers, and then it goes from 4-inch single back out to 4 pipes out the rear, which you see. Just touch on that muffler. I basically just made it out of thicker stainless material and used really big stainless shavings, and just packed it in as hard as I can, and it actually works and it doesn't blow to bits once you do one dyno run like the other ones. So that's that. Then I had all the exhaust ceramic coated to try and keep the heat down. I did do a little bit, not a hell of a lot, but heat management with the exhaust is like massive. I've got so much heat shielding in there and it's still so hot in the car. And probably put in some footage now of it on the dyno, just show how hot the headers get, you know, under big load. And yeah, that heat's got to go somewhere, so it usually goes into the cab and you're sweating balls, but it is what it is. ECU wise, it's got a Haltech Nexus R5, so they've got a built-in PDM, so there's really only about, I don't know, 3 relays and fuses in this car. Everything else is done through the PDM. That inlet manifold, that's all been made, so they're all from single RHD throttle bodies, and then they've all been linked up on one shaft, which I had a friend of mine, an engineer, mill up a shaft so they all work at the same time. And then the lower manifold's been made as well to suit, obviously. Headers, they're 2 1/4, a little bit bigger than normal. Seems to do the job. Everything's been made, so like the cross member in the front's all tube, and then the custom sump as well. The front suspension obviously is for drifting, so it's still got a pair of Drift Samurai short knuckles from Japan, which I bought probably in 2006 or something. Currently it has part shop max lower arms, had some old Mazda speed coilovers in it that still work, so I'm going to stay in there, and just some hard race upper control arms, adjustable. Going back to the clutch is a direct twin plate. Gearbox is a 4-speed like NASCAR box, like Jericho. I did actually have a HUT 6-speed sequential in it for a little bit, and because I was going to go that direction, but yeah, didn't really like it, to be honest. There's too many gears, and drifting, you've already got so much going on, your hands are going everywhere. You know, you sort of lose track of what gear you're in because the gears are so close. So I ended up going back to the 4-speed, and to be honest, it's probably one of my favourite things about the car is the 4-speed. It's pretty manly. changing gears with, you know, like one of them, no synchros, just banging gears. Obviously custom tail shaft, and then yeah, the winters. So had some drive shafts made up locally, 1,000 horsepower ones, something, so it shouldn't break. So the whole idea with this car was try and make it stronger than it needs to be, keep it somewhat reliable. You know, a lot of those things don't need to be in there, but I don't like working on my cars at the track. I want to pay for an event and go drive it, and then drive it back on the trailer is always the plan. Body kit wise, it's a bit of a bitzer. I think it's got an Origin front bar, it's got Mazda speed side skirts that I chopped up and modified. The over fenders, I think they're just China ones, to be honest, but a lot of it's custom and modified. It's got a car shop glow rear ducktail, and then another carbon wing, can't remember the brand of that one. The paint's another pretty wild thing. My brother and I did that about 10 years ago now, so it's actually got like a camo pattern in it, so there's 4 different colours in it. It does look black in low light, but in the sun it sort of pops out. And that was always the plan, because the car used to be pretty bright green camo originally when I used to drift it, so it's keeping that style a little bit, but obviously a totally different look. Just recently did the brake upgrade on it, so they're a set of 6-pot Porsche Cayenne calipers on the front, so they're factory Brembos. So yeah, modified the knuckles and made my own brackets and painted the calipers all round. It's got dual calipers set up on the rear, obviously one for the handbrake and one for your normal foot brake and normal handbrake. It's got a pedal box in it, so I don't run a booster, runs dual master cylinders. Just got to get the correct bore size to suit non-boosted. They're not too bad, like, you've really got to press on them, but they definitely work. Yeah, so fitting in the car, I'm a pretty big dude, 6'7", So before a roll cage, it was never an issue. Actually, one of the roomiest cars I ever had as far as leg room. But as soon as I put a roll cage in it and you put a helmet in, you lose, probably 80 mil. So I ended up notching the floor when we did the roll cage, and then had to pick the seat very delicately because I bought German brides for it once, and because of the rake on them, they wouldn't fit in it. So I bought another seat. So I only just fit in this car with a helmet on.
Now we I think it was at Rotor Revival. Pete featured your AE86 with a rotor in it.
Yep.
Always had rotaries. So I know we've got an Aussie icon over here on the side. We'll get to later, but always rotors.
No. So I started off with Holdens and Tiranas. They were my first, and then I ended up selling both of them and buying my first import. It was a genuine Sil 80, which was very rare. It still is now. Blacktop SR in it. Anyway, I used to, street race it and whatever back then. But one day a little 1300 wagon beat me, and I made the guy pull over, and I was like, "Man, you must have a big turbo on that." He's like, no turbo. I was like, "Okay." So he opened the bonnet, and there's just this keg sitting there with a Weber on the side of it, and I was like, "I need one of them." And it was literally the following week I bought my own 1300 wagon with Series 5 running gear. It had 9-inch and stuff in it, and that's sort of what pretty much kicked it off. They're cool little things, they can be pretty temperamental, but I don't know, the more you're around it, the more you realise it's actually pretty good, and you can make them work pretty good. So I've always been around, but I'm definitely not biased. I like V8s, I like 1Js, 2Js, I've got a Chaser with 1J, I've obviously got Tiranas, so whatever, I just like cars in general. So
Nice.
So thank you for checking out my car, and a big thanks to Grassroots Garage for filming it.